Hello, this is Hebrew Apologetics with Marcus Cage. I am your host, Marcus Cage. First and foremost, I want to start off by saying, Call Halal Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. For those who don't know, that is the Most High's name and his son, our deliverer. Just want to start off by giving that respect first and foremost. In this episode here, showing more and more artifacts and archaeology of the biblical world to help bring that picture together before we start digging deeper and deeper into the Bible and into some of the more weightier matters. But first, I want to start off with just, getting a good consciousness and wiping out a lot of the misunderstandings. And I figure if we start off with showing simple things, which we can start kind of piecing together as we start reading text, it won't be as much back and forth, I feel like, with understanding the point of view where we're coming from and what you could say, hey, you're under a heresy or your own vain opinion. But I believe, I'm not going to say what I believe. I'm going to put the scriptures there, and I'm just going to let you all see that just the same way I do with any of this information. But in this video, though Edom is a topic we're going to delve more into, for the purpose of this video alone, I just want to show you Edom so you can kind of understand Edom. I think I have parts of Idumea in here also. For those who do not know about Edom and Idumea, there are several scriptures that you should look into or look up. I will be doing a breakdown on one of my favorite books of the Bible, Obadiah, which is all about a judgment, which is a future prophecy coming to Edom. And eventually we will get into talking about exactly who Edom is. But as we still lay out this history, when we start getting into the scriptures, it's going to be a whole lot easier for me to show you all these reference points in this and the research which I've done. So you're not gonna come at me with some of these silly arguments, well, we'll look up for this and look up that. I can just refer you right back to a video which I just did. So we will leave it there for for that topic. But as we get into dealing with getting deeper and deeper into who Edom is today, and because some of these subjects are going to start getting a little bit murky and start getting a little bit more complex, and I'm going to give the warning right now. Some of this topic is going to start getting a little touchy, controversial, and it's going to hurt some feelings. Keep in mind, none of this information, I started out with a certain presupposition. I believe certain things. I took what most of the so-called scholars and experts, what their hypothesis, theories, whether it be in just science in general, or whether it's dealing with even understanding of biblical texts and cultures of the different people that were going on, and just a lot of different things. There's a lot of information which you can go through and read through, but it can be weary on the spirit because the enemy who is in control of this world, and as in the Bible, for those who don't know what I'm talking about, it says, the wicked will rule the world. So whoever is in power, if the shoe fits, whoever's in power, by definition, is the wicked. We all can look around and just look at how the society runs, no matter where you live, unless you're somebody who is pretty well off, or you only care about how well you're doing for yourself and don't care about your neighbors or your brother or your nation, or you don't care about anybody but yourself, then yeah, you probably love the way this is going. But for a lot of us, it's not going so great. And the Bible even talks about how when the righteous are in rulership, literally the earth will feel better. It will be happy. It will rejoice. Even the animals will rejoice. The trees will literally rejoice. And I can even go into scriptures showing you literally it's saying that in the Bible. Because think about it. Who's in power right now? The person who's in power right now cuts down all the damn trees, which leads to climate change and all those things like that, and all the smog and pollution and things. Then you think about who are most of the wars and stuff done by. In the Bible, it says the person who, well, it says Esau basically will get everything he has by the sword. I'll go into that later on too, in another video. But I'm just trying to give you little tidbits of understanding who controls the world, because in the Bible it literally tells you who in the end days would be ruling the world. And when I sit down with fellow Hebrew Israelites, talking with them, or whether I'm talking with secular people, whoever it is, they all come to an agreement, Muslims, whatever, they all come to the agreement that it feels different right now. It feels like we are marching towards the end of something. I'm talking about kind of vaguely for the people who are of non-faith. They even say, I don't know, it feels like anarchy, society's about to fall, something's going on. And us from the faith community, more specifically Hebrew Israelites, we believe the Bible tells us exactly what's happening, what's coming. And so as I've been able to see prophecy that was predicted thousands or hundreds of years before it happened, for me, that's not something I can just dismiss. And when you look at basically what science is, people say, well, how can you trust the Bible? It's just written by a man. Isn't every book written by a man? I mean, isn't basically everything, even when we talk about the sun going around the earth, moon, whatever, all of that is a theory. All of these things are theories. So, and they're all written by a man, which none of us can actually confirm any of this information. We just have to take somebody's opinion for it. And I don't trust this government at all. I mean, understanding, being a student of history, knowing just all the stuff that this government has done and does. And I'm not just some random conspiracy theorist, I'm former military, also travel around the world. I was in certain regions, knowing what our country's doing, knowing what kind of sanctions and bullying that they're doing to other nations. And I know who's in control of our nation. And so I'll let you all, I guess, do the math there and figure out what I'm trying to say. I don't want to get too ahead of myself before I get into actually breaking it down with scripture, because I want to lay this out, as clearly as possible, because it is going to be a touchy subject. So, with that said, I will get into the clips. I've heard accounts that it's possibly up to 1 million or more people lived here. So keep that in mind when you look at this whole expansive area. Notice the cracks and stuff like that where you could tell earthquakes happen. The Bible talks about that. Notice where you see dams and stuff that look like they're broken. And scientists literally talk about the drought. So all those things keep in mind when you're looking at this area called Edom or Mount Seir or Petra. Hopefully you enjoy it. This first structure is a very famous and well-known structure called the Treasury. In here, he's going to talk about the Roman Empire, but it actually gets its starts in architecture from the Greek Empire. Notice by the columns. I added in this one screenshot so I can show you the columns, the Greek columns, and how they pass through all of the different Indo-European societies. In actuality, these columns actually come from the earlier Greek societies, possibly the Minoan
city in the south of Jordan in the Middle East. It It is currently the most visited tourist destination in the country. In December 1985, it was recognized as a World Heritage Site by UNESCO, and today it is part of the Seven Wonders of the Modern World. The city, which is more than 2,000 years old, is characterized by its constructions carved in a type of rock called sandstone, made by the Nabateans, an Arabic ancestral people who colonized this region in 312 BC.
Keep in mind, not too far away in Greece, Alexander the Greek was ruling.
They also gave the name Petra to the city, but before that, many things happened during its millenary history, and different peoples inhabited the region. Apparently, the Horites were there until 1200 BC, in the Iron Age period, when the Edomites occupied the place.
According to the Bible, if you look into the Horites in Genesis, it describes them as cavemen.
During that period, the city was called Edom. However, these people began to migrate to southern Palestine. The Nabateans arrived on the site in 321 BC and gradually settled down permanently. The Nabateans made the city their capital and led it to great commercial successes, with routes to various countries such as China, India, Egypt, and others. During this time they were in the region, Petra also stood out for its remarkable hydraulic systems. The Nabateans also made other constructions in the territory, especially sculptures made directly on the rocks. This technical sophistication resulted in an architecture that continues to impress us. The Nabateans inhabited the region for centuries. However, between 64 and 63 BC, Petra was annexed by the Roman Empire under the command of General Pompey. Petra continued to prosper under Roman rule, which also left its mark on some of the region's buildings. In addition, the city also passed through the hands of the Byzantines. Another important aspect of the history of this incredible place is that, over time, the city faced two strong earthquakes, the second very devastating. After that, many parts of the city were destroyed. Luckily, a large number of ruins remain, and to this day, those who visit the site can also see temples, tombs, houses, and other incredible monuments sculpted into rocks and scattered in a beautiful landscape, composed of an immensity of sand and huge rocks. Although it is an incredibly old place, occupied by different civilizations over time, the city fell into oblivion for a long period. Only in 1812, through the Swiss explorer Johann Ludwig Burckhardt, did Petra begin to attract the world's attention again, visited by historians, archaeologists, and others interested in its historical wealth and fascinating architecture. Petra's most prominent monument is the Al-Kazne, or temple, or treasury chamber, a large 40-meter high facade carved by the Romans, which nobody knows for sure what it was built for. Some people think it was a mausoleum or crypt. Another famous spot is Ad-Ir, or monastery, which has a very beautiful facade with a grandiose architecture. To get there, we need to climb a staircase of 800 steps. Besides these places, there are several other interesting sites in this archaeological location. For example, the royal tombs, such as the urn tomb and the palace tomb, where evidence of religious ceremonies and other rituals have been found. There is also the amphitheater left by the Romans and made for 7,000 people. It is one of Petra's most famous spots. The archaeological site of Petra became more famous for being the setting for the new adventures of Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade, increasing tourism in this region. Nowadays, thousands of visitors visit the city of Petra and marvel at the great monuments carved in the rocks. The rest is just a slideshow I wanted to add just so I could show you in detail how massive and let you be able to visually see Mount Petra or Edom, how the inhabitants of the Levant would have seen it back in those days. Hopefully you enjoy.